Going to the ER or getting surgery is a stressful experience, but for many, the cost of that care takes an even bigger toll.
Earlier this month, we told you about the struggles that many Americans face when they are hit with debt, but how common is medical debt in our community now.
Investigative reporter Carly Lucas crunching the numbers and talking to those right here in Michiana who have been given their final notice.
For this local educator, what started as a toothache led to a rare diagnosis. Kristen and Kent Carlson were both working full-time, had insurance, and were saving for retirement when Kristen was diagnosed with neurosarcoidosis, gastroparesis, hemiplegic migraines, aphasia, and trigeminal neuralgia, a painful condition that causes seizure-type activity.
They look very much like strokes, so that led me going to the emergency room because you just never know. I mean,
right?
This could be the big one.
This could be the big one.
But with multiple ER visits comes multiple co-pays, and as her condition developed, it became impossible to work, which means losing her income and her insurance.
The one thing that I know that would really help us is me going to work, and I can't do it. It's not that I didn't want to, I wanted to desperately, but I physically could not work. And so every bill that came, there was this huge guilt because I'm causing it.
The cost of Kristen's care became overwhelming, impacting not just their bank accounts, but their quality of life.
Medical debt can affect your marriage. It can affect, how you parent. It can affect every aspect of your life. You look at people taking vacations and you're like, I want to do that. But instead, I'm trying to take care of the hospital bills.
Causing them to confront a harsh and unaffordable reality.
You sit there and you think, maybe it's cheaper if I die.
But Kent and Kristen aren't alone, not even close. Nationally, nearly 14% of all Americans have medical debt in collections. Nonprofit researchers at the Urban Institute found Americans with medical bills in collections typically owe an approximate $774. In Indiana, that amount is a bit higher, almost $800.
And that number only includes medical debt in collections, not all of the debt owed to providers. So let's look at how many people are impacted here in Michiana.
Fulton County tops the list with over 21% of residents having medical debt in collections, typically owing around $950. In Pulaski County, more than 19% have medical debt in collections, owing over $1,200 typically. You can see on your screen that Elkhart, Marshall, and Kosciuszko counties have between 14 and 16% of their residents dealing with medical debt, with a typical resident owing between $600 to $700. Kristen and Kent live in St. Joseph County, where 14.5% of people have medical debt in collections, typically owing close to $600.
It can be very, very lonely to think that you have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of debt that you didn't ask for. We didn't go and ask for a loan.
We just asked for help, and medical help.
When medical debt is sent to collections, it can impact your credit rating, which can drive up the cost of home and auto insurance and diminish your ability to get a personal loan to try to pay down the debt.
So it becomes, what do they call it, a vicious cycle. You get into this where it just digs you deeper.
Trying to get out of this overwhelming financial situation can impact the rest of your life.
And to try to set ourselves up so that we could survive, we ended up draining both of our retirement accounts, so there's no retirement. At one point, we came very, very close, like within a couple months of losing both our house and our only vehicle. You can tell I get a little choked up.
But their prayers were answered when a local church paid off their medical debt.
It was explained to me that somebody had taken care of it, and I just couldn't believe it. Who would do that?
Offering relief at a time when they needed it most.
For me, it was like, you mean I don't have to think about rationing things? Like, when I think it's a real stroke, I can actually go to the hospital?
But over a decade since Kristen's diagnosis, the financial hardships from her condition continue, with $1,600 in costs each month just for her medications alone.
I take so much medicine that trying to decide should I skip? Should I go every other day to try to just make this copay last a little bit longer? And no, that's not really a full option.
But the end result is more medical care trying to make up for, for the medicine that was missed.
And that's not including a promising experimental treatment. The cost, $35,000 per month.
Literally, it's cheaper to have a funeral than it is to pay for this one medicine that I'm going to need for 6 months. But I do think that realizing that this medication can save your life, you just have to kind of decide, are you worth medical debt? And that's hard.
As they move forward, Kristen and Kent say they've been humbled by their experience, and the help they've received from friends and family make them eager to help others.
But it also made me realize that I would really like to be the person that could do that. Most people who give help are the ones that have needed it at some point, and somebody helped them. And
they want those hit with a burden of unpayable bills to remember others are going through the same struggles.
Just know you're not alone. You're not alone. And to find somebody who can listen to you, I think, makes a world of difference. Yeah. It doesn't take the debt away, but at least it makes you feel like you're sharing the burden with somebody who cares.
While most of the nonprofit organizations that pay off medical debt for community members do so at random, there are other ways you can get help. The Greater National Advocate Organization gives you access to a network of independent patient advocates. They'll fight for you when dealing with doctors, medical professionals, and insurance companies. You can search for help on their website, gnanow.org. Another site you can check, advoconnection.com. It works much the same way, and you may qualify for discounted or even free patient advocate guidance. You will likely pay a fee by the hour for a patient advocate, and while prices could vary, they could still save you several $100s or even several thousand on medical bills. For 16 News Now Investigates, I'm Carly Luca.